still a few coming in from the waiting room, so give it a couple more seconds. Okay, looks like everyone's in, so we can go ahead and get started. Welcome to the May Industry Roundtable. So we're excited to have you all here. The entire Broadband office staff is on the call. And we have a few updates to give you, and then we'll open it up for Q&A time, so your time to ask us questions, make comments, just open conversation. So I'm going to hand it to Jonas Durham to go ahead and kick us off.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here this morning. Just a few things I want to talk about, mainly the purpose of the call. And I know a lot of you have been on this call many, many times at this point, but just a reminder that, the purpose is for the CBO to have some time to sit down with our industry experts and be able to provide updates to you all about what's going on within the CBO and kind of our plans for the next several months and throughout the year. But most importantly, it's an opportunity for us to hear from you. We want your expertise. We want your feedback. We want to know what's working, what's not working, and any ideas that you have that maybe we're just not thinking of. So I strongly encourage everyone to participate, speak up. There's no bad questions. We want to hear from you. So as Lauren mentioned, call's being recorded. There will be an opportunity to ask questions throughout the presentation. Please just raise your hand and let's start an open discussion. We've got a number of different folks from CBO who are here to provide those updates and answer those questions. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into legislation. And Paige, tell us about what's going on in your world.
Thank you, Jonas. My name is Paige Osman. I'm Senior Policy Advisor supporting the Colorado Broadband Office. On May 8th, the 74th General Assembly adjourned. I just wanted to give a sincere thank you to everyone who engaged with us throughout this legislative session. Your participation and support really means a lot to us. A few updates on broadband bills that passed were HB 24-1336. This is the Sunset Broadband Deployment Bill. This was one of OIT's legislative agenda bills. Related to that bill is HB 24-1234. This is the Sunset Review of High Cost Support Mechanism, as well as HB 24-1334, the broadband service for multi-unit buildings. Another bill that passed was HB 24-1036. This is the repeal of certain tax credits. Now on that bill, we were able to amend out the repeal of the rural broadband sales and use tax. So these four bills are just awaiting the governor's signature, which we expect him to sign any day now. We'll keep you posted on that though. But we're very much looking forward to the implementation of these bills. A couple bills that did not pass were SB 2491, which was the rights of way permits for broadband deployment, and HB 24-1245, the fair labor practice requirements for broadband projects. So in the interim between now and next session, which starts in January 2025, OIT's Oversight Committee, the Joint Technology Committee, will be meeting throughout the year. The next meeting will be on June 5th at 9 a.m. The agenda for this bill is still under development, though, so we'll keep you posted on that. But we do anticipate a broadband discussion in one of those meetings soon, so continue to keep you updated on those. And again, just thank you, and we look forward to continuing engagement and preparing for the next session. And I believe you will be hearing from Delia next.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm going to be talking about workforce and also broadband roadshow that is going to start actually this afternoon. So the workforce plan was a partnership between the stakeholders, the CBO and the CDLE department. And by the end of 2026, the goal is to implement around 3,000 new positions in broadband and in construction. When the plan was created, we find different challenges that we are going to address since we have found different solutions for these ones. But the challenges you can see there on the slide were awareness, outreach and education, industry-led curriculum development, compressed implementation, and time frame. So as part of the solutions, we have created a core work group. We have been meeting already, and we're working very hard to address these challenges. We are going to establish also programs to address these challenges that I mentioned before, and we're also going to review, evaluate, pilot a program, and also work on the implementation of it. Next slide, please. So the goals for the workforce are awareness. Our goal is to reach out to 10,000 of Coloradans by the end of this year and let them know about the different positions that are going to be available in the broadband industry. Another goal is training. Our hope is to train 3,000 Coloradans so they can enter the broadband field by the end of 2025. And lastly, employment. And the reason why we're training 1,500 Coloradans, or that's our hope, is because we want to make sure that we have 15 new Coloradans employed by the end of 2026, double the amount, just in case there's some people that might not be interested in this field anymore, or they might be moving out of the state, or any other changes. Next slide, please. So the Broadband Roadshow starts today. We're going to be heading to Huérfano later this afternoon. We want to thank all the stakeholders that will be hosting us this summer. We are very excited to hit the road and meet with all of you to talk about broadband, CPF, BEAD, and also talk about what's happening in your communities. We're going to be posting more dates since we already have some dates scheduled for July. But if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at any time. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. So now it's your time to ask us questions. You can put your questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand and ask that way as well. So we'll take questions at this time. All right, no questions. CBO staff, do you guys have any questions for, oh wait, there we go. There's one. All right, question in the chat. Has CBO submitted the final challenge determinations to NTIA? I know Megan is on the call. Megan, do you want to respond?
Yep. We have not yet submitted. We're working on doing that this week. And you will also receive notifications of those determinations hopefully this week as well.
All right, thanks, Megan. And Maisie, if you have a follow-up, just feel free to raise your hand or drop it in the chat. Next question, is there an update on BEAD Volume 2 approvals and preparing for project areas? I don't know who wants to grab that one.
You want to do it, Jonas? Or
you're probably closest to the NTIA. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so the CBO's Volume 2 has been done since April 17th, and it's passed all of the approvals. It is just with legal, so we've been waiting for over a month now to have it approved. So I don't know when it'll be approved. I would love to say any day now, but it seems like that's usually what I'm told every week, and then the next week happens. So at this point, I don't know when it's going to get approved, but it doesn't mean that we aren't working hard behind the scenes to get ready to launch phase 1 in our Volume 2, which is the project areas and our grant guidelines. So we are working behind the scenes on that pretty diligently so that when we do finally get approval from the NTIA, there's not much of a lag between the approval and us launching phase 1. We are working on the project areas right now using our consultants, and hopefully we'll be able to launch public comment for phase 1 in the project area and grant guidelines in mid-July. So that's what we're scheduled for. So public comment won't open until July. So, and again, it's a draft of a project areas. The whole purpose of opening it up for public comment is to help solicit input on what makes sense for these project areas. So when you do see the initial project area map, it is a draft. So no decisions have been made on that draft. That will happen after we close public comment and make the updates and incorporating some of that feedback. So again, no word on volume 2 yet. We'll hopefully get approval here in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be able to launch the project, the phase 1 public comment process in mid-July.
Thanks, Brandy. Another question in the chat. Will there be a second round of state CHCSM grants in 2024? Is there someone that's able to field that one?
So that's for high cost for the BDB. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
Yeah, I believe, and Judd, maybe you can speak to this a little bit, but right now we are looking at a July session for, I think, a follow-up to look at any additional applicants that wanted to resubmit. Judd, do you have any other details on that?
Yeah, no, that was the way we scoped this last and final before the sunset round was all the applications that didn't make the first cut for minimum requirements or were not funded can reapply in this round. I think that is the July timeframe.
All right, great. Thank you both. All right, we'll give another minute, see if there's any other questions. There's actually still people jumping in from the waiting room too, so perhaps more questions to come.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Kennedy with Rise Broadband, and I did have just a few questions.
Sure, go ahead.
During phase 1, when there's an opportunity for public comment on the project areas, how will that process work for ISPs? And I ask because there can be some reluctance to participate in the process, simply for reasons of keeping proprietary information private. So if ISPs participate in the process and either identify project areas or comment on project areas, how will that information be published? And what kind of information would accompany that?
I can start with that. So we encourage, all the ISPs and anybody who's interested in the BEAD program to provide input. The way we've handled it before is, we'll publish a map, and we'll have a web form for you to give us comments back. We then take that data and we summarize it, because every process that we've run with public comment on certain elements of our broadband programs, people do request that information. What we like to do though is take the comments, summarize them at a high level, and make those comments available, the feedback available. So if you go on our website, you'll see some of how we structure those. We remove any identifying information, anything that would point to a specific ISP or and so forth. But we actually summarize those comments, and we don't even really summarize them verbatim, because sometimes if you put stuff out there verbatim, you can identify certain companies or individuals or entities who are commenting. So we really try hard to summarize them, not take them word by word, make that information available without any identifiers to companies or organizations. Just so you know, public comment isn't proprietary information. It's just not under our laws, our open records laws. So, when we solicit input, that is subject to open records requests, but we try to do a good job of just summarizing those comments so that people feel like they understand what was the result of public comment. But that's how we treat it. And I know some states are different. They don't typically publish, maybe some of them don't publish the public comment, but I feel like we know our stakeholders pretty well, and I think people appreciate those high-level summaries. And where I'll point you to, Stephanie, is we did a summary of BEAD Volume 1 and BEAD Volume 2 public comments, and we published a document on our website. So that's how we'll treat it. So if you want to look at that, that's the level of detail that we provide.
Thank you so much. I definitely I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
If I have time for a second question.
Sure.
I was on the community roundtable, and I just again want to verify some of the timeline information. So you're hoping to have approval for volume 2 sometime in the next few months, and then to launch the public comment during phase 1 in July.
Mm-hmm.
Is the anticipation still that the BEAD application portal or window would be open in Q4?
Actually, the BEAD application portal, we are currently building out our process right now. We're giving ourselves about 65 days to put it all together. But the actual window, so phase 2 is the application intake process. And we expect that to start at the end of July with a pre-registration ahead of the application portal rollout. And some states are doing this, and we think we might gain some more efficiencies and maybe a little and help with the technical assistance portion of BEAD, with the understanding that this program is pretty robust. It has a lot of requirements, but helping folks submit some basic level information that will be part of the application process. But for example, if you're interested in BEAD, register with us, and then submitting some basic documents that will be required of the actual application. But it's not required. The registration window is not required. And it's just if you need extra support from CBO, we can identify you through that registration process. And then the application window will open so the registration window will open late July, the application portal rollout. At the latest, we're looking at late August. If we can move that up, that would be great. But right now we're looking at the end of August, mid to end of August, to open up the actual grant portal. And we'll do a couple of webinars on the grant portal and so forth to help folks navigate it. We are using a different system this time around. If you're familiar with our broadband program, CPF, we used Zoom grants. We are using Coastal Cloud Salesforce this time around. We just think it's a more robust system and can handle the volume that BEAD's going to produce a little bit better. And so that main application window will be 45 days. And I know in the public comment process, we did hear from folks that they wanted longer to produce their applications. But, from the CBO's perspective, you have now until the end of August to start preparing yourself for BEAD. And we're doing a registration window process. So we're hoping that folks will take this time to start preparing so that they can meet that application window of 45 days. And so that's where we are with some of the timelines. And again, it's preliminary. Once we finalize our timeline, we'll go ahead and put it on our website for everybody to see so you can track with us as well.
Thank you so much for that information. I do want to just double back because again, the notes that I had from the community roundtable, I believe Jonas provided some comment on that, and the actual putting in the BEAD application. The website says Q3, but during the community roundtable, it was stated to us that it would open in Q4. So, obviously we're in the process right now of getting our applications together and having a really firm, and I understand this is all dependent on 100 other things happening before, but I just want to clarify because it said we were told Q4 and now you're saying Q3. So
Yeah, I can speak to that. So yeah, I believe on the community call I did say we're expecting it to be open by Q4. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts in this, and I think last week I just wasn't willing to commit to anything specific. But as Brandy stated, there are a lot of things happening in parallel right now, and we're looking for a lot of ways to help speed up this process and get everybody into the system as quickly as possible and provide a level of support. And through the last week, we brought on a new consultant, and they've been really good with coming up with a really good plan of how we can be more efficient with that process. So I think that in the last week, we've come up with some new information that definitely looks like we can certainly commit to a Q3 portal with the way we're going to do this pre-registration process. So I apologize for any communication there.
No. I'm always be prepared now. And I mean, every state is dealing with the same factors, and so we will be ready in Q3. And I just want to verify that you're going to be using a Salesforce platform for the BEAD applications.
That's correct. Yep, Salesforce. We're using that. We think we think everybody will be pretty pleased with the application we're using. It's a grant application portal, but it's also a really great communication tool between you guys and the CBO. So, and we'll provide a lot of training, technical assistance on it so that you guys are up to speed and there's not too many glitches, of course. Software is software at the end of the day, and sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down, but we want to make it as easy as possible for you all. And I can't underscore enough. You have until now, until we open the grant application, to prepare your application. So with all things, take advantage of the months ahead. Don't wait until the last minute. We are not giving extensions. I know in the CBO and the CPF process, we did grant some extensions, and mainly that was from the program side because we had some glitches with the software and our data. But we're polished and ready to go on the BEAD program, and we've used a lot of our programs to help guide us and lessons learned, and we think we can keep our timelines, but use this time. Don't wait to the last minute. Leverage us. We're here to help you, and just take advantage of the trainings and stuff that'll be coming up.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brandy.
Okay, great. Other questions? Again, you can drop them in the chat or raise your hand. Give it maybe a minute longer. Or maybe not a minute, because that's a long time when it's quiet. I think we can go ahead and move on then. It sounds like there's no more questions. So just a few reminders. Programs team, Jonas, Haitham Ali, or we call him Ali, Michael Murphy, and then Delia are your contacts. So please feel free to reach out to them directly. And then there's also multiple ways to keep in touch with us. And I'm so sorry, it says May 15th on that slide. That is not accurate. The next community roundtable is in July. So we'll make sure that's clear when we send these slides out. But you can also follow us check our website for updates. You can email our advance email address. You can join our newsletter, follow us on social, or you can, again, look at our website for broadband news articles. We're broadband offices in the news pretty often, so it's also a good way to stay in the know and updated on what's going on with our office. So if there are no other questions at this time, we will close it out and say thank you very much for joining us. Thanks, everyone.